The Immortal John Hancock here. Today I thought I'd do a fun video. Does it still work? Recently I acquired some items from my good friend Corey of Classics and Oddities. He gets in all sorts of strange stuff, and he had essentially a box of stuff that a customer came in and pretty much saved it from their basement and brought it to a store and wanted to know if it still worked, and Corey took it in as is and hasn't been touched. And I thought it'd be kind of fun, as we continue to collect these old electronic items, the probability of them having issues as time goes on increases, especially with this older stuff. Even though it's not disc based and it has fewer moving parts, there's still problems with them. And so it's kind of fun to fire up an old machine and to see if it still works, and I enjoy doing that. So I'm a huge Commodore Vic-20 fan, and I've been collecting the classic computer for over 20 years. I had to sell my original Vic-20 collection off when my wife had a cancer scare, and this is something I've slowly acquired Commodore Vic-20 cartridges and items over time, and it's a lot of fun to collect. It's kind of an oddity. Again, you find it in very small pockets at retro gaming cons, and today again, Corey stumbled across a bunch of original Vic-20 stuff, and including a nice original unit. And so I'm going to talk about this, and we're going to see especially the tape drive and some of the interesting items included with that. Does it still work? So let's check it out. Alright, this is what Corey had brought into his store, and it's a very nice Vic-20 lot. This is kind of typically what you find with them, with some extras things. And so it's a nice original console, classic computer. And again, for people that don't know, the Vic-20 was the precursor to the Commodore 64. It was very successful for Commodore. It was the first classic computer to sell over 1 million units, and it retailed for $299. It was very affordable at the time, equivalent to $700+ now. But again, very, very, very affordable back in the day. And so the original model of the Vic-20 had a different power unit than the later models. Also, you notice the controller port, there's only one. It was definitely very primitive gaming classic computer, but it had some awesome stuff in it. Here's a cartridge port and some other ports as well. This is the tape drive port. We're going to try some tape drives today. We're going to try some tapes today with testing this unit. So, and here it is. One of the, I do believe, an early model of the tape drive. And you'd put your cassette in there and hook it up. And it's really neat. I'm really excited about it. I haven't played a tape game on a Vic-20 in a long time, so I'm excited. Some of the games came with it. Vic-Trek and Vic-Trek 8K. If you had an expansion to your classic computer, it could play probably a different version of the game. Fuel Pirates. We had casino-style blackjack. Yeah. Now, this is the cool thing. I love seeing these, and what someone has done is compiled a bunch of games on one cassette tape. I'm actually going to see if this works, so I'm really curious about that. And a blank tape. Oh, not blank. Alright, bunch of games on it, so definitely, yeah, I thought it was blank on that side. Nope, bunch of classic games on that. Very cool. Atari Soft, Battlezone, Star Trek, Gorf, Slot, interesting label variation. Again, the Vic-20 had some really cool label variations on some of their games. And Sargon 2 Chess, ooh, barn burner. So, other things to note is the interesting looking paddles. They're pretty uncommon to find these days. And the Vic-20 joystick variation. They had one that looked like a 2600 joystick. It's just white, but they also had this one. I think they got in trouble when the original Vic-20 2600 style joystick, and so they had to change it to more of that model. Interesting. So there you go. Again, I'm going to just see if the classic computer works, and let's check it out. Alright, so what I've done is I pretty much borrowed a AV cable, just it's easier to show on this TV screen, and here we go. So what you're seeing is a black screen, and it could be many things. It's probably the graphics chip in the VIC-20, and those can be replaced. Again, this is old computer stuff, so we know that at least the actual computer is not working. So wonk wonk, kind of sad about that. But I'd like to show some of the other stuff still, because I want to see if the tape drive or any of the tape games work. And so I do have a backup unit. That's one nice thing about collecting backup units, is for this reason. Your stuff is eventually going to die. And so this console is powering on, the power light's on. So it can be saved, it can be repaired. I'm not going to throw it out. I'm going to have it set aside. Corey has a friend that repairs things, and maybe he can fix it using some parts of another unit. So let's check out some other items that I got. Alright, I have my backup unit, and this is crazy. So I wanted to test these paddles. You know, again, these paddles are kind of uncommon, and what I'm going to be using is something I wanted to actually do a video on by itself, and it's the bare bones multi-cart. I've had this case constructed for me by Chris Trimmy of Lost Classics, and a multi-cart's great because it has a ton of games. These are really neat to have if you want to test a specific game that uses, like, for example, a paddle game. So I'm gonna fire this up, and again, this works. So I'm gonna go down here to Clown's Paddles. Okay. And there's a screen, and press F1. I'm going to see if these paddles work. And it does. A little jittery. I'm going to have to take them apart and clean them. No problem though, but it does work. So, very cool. I wanted to test the joystick now. And again, these are VIC-20 cartridges. They're rectangular in shape, and they are a lot wider than a 2600 cartridge. And let's see if this works. Again, I didn't clean it or anything, just wanted to see if the games still work. And it does. Typically the actual computer will stop working, but this is Gorf, and if you haven't, joystick works. Again, the VIC-20 was very primitive. It competed with, I do believe, the TI-99 4A and the TRS Radio Shack TRS-80 color computer. Let's try Battlezone. Another game got in the lot. These are two games I didn't have, so there you go. Battlezone works. F1 to start. Wow, that's pretty good for VIC-20. That's cool. Sounds not too great, but graphics are really good for VIC-20. Awesome. Alright, so I have the cassette tape player, and I have it hooked up to the back of the VIC-20. There's a special connection, and again, it works like this. So you turn on the console, and put load, and then it'll say press play on tape. You have to have your tape rewound, and I would press play. You would insert, you know, your cassette tape in here, completely rewound, and press play. And now it's searching for whatever's on this tape. Now again, this is a pirate tape, So I don't even know if this is going to work. Again, the first time trying this. Oh! Searching, found scales, loading. Okay. Alright. So it says ready, run. Alright, let's see if we can get this to work. So we're typing in, I have the pirate cassette tape on side 2. Side 1 couldn't get to work. Cassette tape player looks like it's working. We'll see. So we're going to press load. Press play on tape. It's searching. Just want to show that essentially still having an issue with the tape drive, and I'm trying to my backup unit, which again I don't think I've ever tested this, so these have issues, and it could be the connector, it could be something internally with the VIC-20. You know, I've looked online, and so you know I'm not doing anything with these cassette drives. I'm not going to throw them out, but there's a problem. So I'll show you what it's doing on all my cassette tapes. And so I have probably, I get here, press play on tape, and then press play. And the funny thing is, on the very first try, I got one of the games to load, at least to list it, but since then I haven't had anything, so I don't know. Could be something internally with the VIC-20, but the tape drive games are not working. I am going to get a working tape drive and going to show these games on my channel, just not right now. So, there you have it. Well, there you have it. You know, some of it worked and some of it didn't. Definitely disappointed with, you know, half of it not working, but may this be a lesson for people out there. When you're collecting older computers and classic consoles, especially if someone has a firm price on something, you make sure to test it. Again, this was just stuff that, you know, I was testing for my good friend Corey, and you know, I essentially was missing the cartridge games. I'm going to still keep everything. I'm going to try to, you know, get these classic computers fixed. But again, there's a lot of tinkering that goes on with these old units. You know, there's things that go out, capacitors, chips. You know, they're essentially like anything else in electronics. It's not made to last forever. You know, this is the fact that some of these are still working. It's pretty amazing. Definitely keep things for parts, especially if you get stuff that doesn't work. You may be able to salvage parts from that to fix other units. So, you know, again, it doesn't shock me. I have a friend that's been looking for a working VIC-20 for a long time. You know, they're starting to go out. You know, there's some other classic computers that are known to be sketchy on working. Classic console that does that is ColecoVision. Those are getting harder to work right. So anyways, you know, this is something I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to pull stuff out of my game room. It's good to test your stuff, especially if you haven't tested in a while. Sitting computers and classic consoles eventually break, and so just because it worked, you know, 5-10 years ago doesn't mean it works now. And so this has inspired me to test some of my other things and to see what works and what not and what doesn't, and hope this helps. And so what do you think? You know, is this do you collect classic computers? You know, another advice that I have is we have several classic gaming clubs in the area. There's a couple computer groups that I'm probably going to contact and see if they can fix some of this stuff or diagnose to see what's wrong. Really going to an expert, someone who can open up these items or knows his classic computers well, might be able to fix these. So anyways, long ramble there. Thank you so much for watching this interesting video. I look forward to doing many other things. I wanted to kind of show something interesting. And I really want to check out some tape games, and I want to load them off a cassette drive. So I got to figure out, you know, how to do that on my channel. And again, I'm still doing 3 videos a week, and look forward to doing many more in the future. Thank you so much for all the comments, likes, and subscriptions. It helps me out. I also have a Patreon in which I do an exclusive video every month. This is the Immortal John Hancock. Thank you. Take care.